Ready?
Good.
All right. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Jay-Z Media Podcast. I'm here with Coach Guillaume from Ottawa, Canada. And I'm your host, Jordan Zlomslik, also the owner / founder / CEO or whatever of Jay-Z Media. And yeah, this is our podcast. I'm going to be trying to do a podcast for the next couple weeks, maybe going into the months, maybe try to make it a couple years long too, if I can. It's a big commitment to actually do a podcast, and that's something I figured out, trying to do one for a while, and then finally saying, hey, I'll do it. And here we are, first episode, and got a lot of exciting things to talk about. Obviously, we've got a lot in common.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work together over the last couple of years. I only got to know you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And pretty much around this time too, we were filming a documentary 2 years ago, The Journey from the 613.
Yes.
And even before that, I was doing a lot of other stuff. So lots of things that we have worked on. You've done a lot before I met you, so I'm excited to get to it.
Okay.
And so just to kind of introduce myself too, because this is the first ever podcast that I've done.
Definitely.
Obviously, I'm Jordan Zlomslik, like I mentioned earlier. I'm a 17-year-old from Ottawa, Canada. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, but I just say Canada because people in America, they don't know where Ontario is. You've seen that.
Yeah,
obviously.
a lot. Yeah, it's easier to just say Canada.
Exactly. And even at that point, they think I live in an igloo. But, I'm from Ottawa, Canada. I've been here my whole life, and I fell in love with the game of football when I was 6 years old, starting to play football for the first time, youth league in Kemptville, the Kemptville Jaguars. And it was my first love, I guess, in sports. I started playing hockey before that, but football was the first sport that I felt attached to, and I really liked it, more than hockey, more than baseball and the other sports that I associated myself with and what my family kind of put me into. And I liked the Cowboys growing up too, so they were an all right team at the time. I'm not gonna brag about any seasons we've had because we've never won a Super Bowl when I've been alive.
You missed the great years.
Yeah, unfortunately I did, but that's life. And
but you coach too now as well.
With, exactly. So Kemptville, I started playing, and I haven't played in I think 2 or 3 years now, and my first year back into Kemptville football was this year when I coached my first time coaching, and I felt like a younger version of Coach Jean maybe on the staff there, head coach of a Tyke football team.
Nice.
And it was a whole all around great experience because I was about to talk about the times at TD Place when I was a kid, looking up to Red Blacks players Alex Mateus and getting to know them. That was when I just started falling in love with football. Coaching, you have to make sure that the kids fall in love with football the way that you did, and you have to you don't have to make sure that they fall in love with it, but you don't want them to hate it.
No,
that's one thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a bad coach because everybody remembers the bad coaches, and that's not something you want to be known for.
No.
But yeah, that was all around great experience. Being able to not only coach but see progression in your coaching, and not only seeing that maybe I'm becoming a better coach, but the kids are getting better at football too.
I think that's the most gratifying thing when you're coaches to see to witness
exactly
the from A to point.
The kids, they didn't know how to tackle the first couple weeks. It's their first time playing football. I can't even remember my first time playing football. I just remember being a little small kid and going up against all the big kids. But for them, it was fun to see the start just because it was they couldn't tackle. They didn't know how to get a handoff. They didn't know how to give a handoff. They don't know how to throw the football. It's all around fundamentals, and it's right from the beginning. So for me, as someone that works in the football industry and that sees guys that are at the highest level, and I'm all the way back at the bottom level, it was pretty cool to see. Like, I remember one day I was at Red Blacks practice in the morning, and then at night I was coaching Tyke.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm going from watching Jeremiah Mazzoli throw to Darvin Adams, Sherrod Baltimore's on defense, to little Tatum trying to run for a touchdown. It was a cool kind of, I guess, transition to see, like, from one level to the other, and like, that's where it all starts. So
yeah, and that's
I thought it was a great experience, and I want to continue to do that too.
Oh,
like,
good.
if I can either coach or be a part of Kempville football somehow.
But you see, that's what I was going to say. That's where it is very important to see that angle, that aspect of the game, because that's where you understand how teaching it is important to, to vulgarize, to simplify certain knowledge, to bring it down to the lower level. Yeah.
Exactly, and like, that was a great experience, and one of the great experiences that I've had among many over the last couple of years.
Now, you've been busy.
I've been very busy, trying to stay busy. Every once in a while, I get to have a little downtime, but I've been trying to stay busy and trying to make my presence felt as well from what I do.
Well,
trying to create something.
I have to stop you right there. Your presence was felt, and again, I'm really happy to see your progression, because yes, we met when you were 15.
Yeah.
And you've done so much, and we just said busy. You're good busy.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're doing is great for the community. No, honestly, and as a coach, we need people like you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, we need people like you.
And yeah, like, people like myself, like, I started off just writing articles, and like, I thought I was gonna be a writer. I thought I was gonna be a sports writer full time, and that was gonna be my job. Everybody around me was worried because newspapers dying, and it's like, don't worry about me. I'll be the best writer. Now I don't even like writing articles. Like, it's something I do, but it's like, I like to do other stuff as well. I'm versatile. Like, you look at the NFL. Who's the best player in the NFL right now? Maybe somebody like Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, because he's versatile.
He's versatile. When you look at what I'm able to do, I'm versatile. I write articles. I take pictures. I take video. I edit video.
And you know the game.
Exactly.
And you can coach it.
I can coach the game. I can do everything around football pretty much right now, and that's what I feel like makes me different on the media aspect and everything that I do. And from the get-go, I started doing it with good intentions too. Like, my first interview ever was with Tyrone Pierre, and I remember it like it was yesterday almost. And ironically, I saw him just the other day. I filmed a little video for him, and we did an interview. And I think it actually may have been my first time seeing him since that first interview, which was pretty cool as well. But we both have grown a lot, him in music and myself in the media aspect. And at the time, he was a Red Blacks player, and he made music on the side, but it wasn't anything that really, it wasn't on Drake level or anything like that.
No, he's doing some good stuff.
But he was creating good music, and I respected that. As a reporter and a journalist, I look up the player before I interview him, and I see, hey, he makes music. I listen to it a little bit, and I like it, right? So my first time interviewing him, I remember I asked about his music. I asked about things outside of football and things that actually mean something to him, instead of just like the basic questions that you get as a football player. It's training camp, trying to make a roster. The typical question is, what separates you from the other receivers on the team? I'm not asking those kinds of questions. I'm asking, well, why do people call you Weso? I'm asking those kinds of questions. Yeah. And like, it's all about, for me, who the athlete is, and that's what I've loved about creating Jay-Z Media. It's a platform. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a writer. Those are things I can do, but don't title me. I am a creator of Jay-Z Media.
You're more than one thing.
I'm the creator of Jay-Z Media, a platform for the athlete, a media source for the athlete, really. And I want to be able to create that platform that athletes can talk about themselves more than just being football players, and to create a presence felt more than just through football. And that's something that I've been able to do a lot with you, like through the players that you coach, yourself even, and the players that you know and coaches you know. And thankfully to you, I've been able to be able to connect with more people.
It's a pleasure. It means a lot.
And it all goes back to Sherrod too. Like that's the only reason why I would have met you was through Sherrod Baltimore of the Auto Red Blacks, and like doing that documentary in 2020, heart of COVID, pretty much. Like that was, I would say, it was one of my favorite projects. Like looking back on it, it's not a great production. Like it was my first ever documentary, my first like video really that I ever edited. But like if you really look at it, it was fun. Like it was fun. It was fun and eye opening for me.
And it was the first time someone did something like that in the community.
Exactly.
Where they went and connected with the grassroots, really the
real
guys.
And I interviewed everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't just pick and choose maybe 3 or 4 people and just go from there. I think I interviewed 40 people.
Yeah, and you know what? Even the music we're talking about.
Yeah, we put in all the local tracks. We put in Tyrone Pierre Way so.
Yeah, and it felt good. Even when Jesse, like, I'm just saying that too, like the good vibe of the kids in the community, because a lot of them I know when we get together, and like I remember when Jesse was getting drafted at the party, Tyrone was there. All the guys were there. Yeah. You know, it was some positive stuff. You know, Kat was there. Everybody was there. So it was a blessing. And again, what you're talking about, it contributes a lot more than you think.
And it needs to be done as well. Like media and all content have such a big role in sports and a role in everything right now. Content is king. That's what everybody says.
Yes.
And then like media really portrays images of athletes, good and bad. I'm trying to make sure that every image that I portray is a good image because I look up to athletes. Why would I want to hurt an athlete through the media?
And there's no need to do that to project negativity out there anyway. So
like there's enough negativity right now in the world. I don't need to create more.
No.
And that's something that like I don't want to do. Like that I want to create a positive change in the media side, and like I want to also do it with the people that I work closely with, like yourself, and work with athletes that you work with. And so as an interview question, I guess, because this is a podcast, talking about yourself, you've worked with a lot of athletes, like I mentioned. And who would be some of the first athletes that you would have coached here in Ottawa? And I guess where are they now kind of thing? I know Jesse is probably among one of the first.
Yeah, Jesse's one.
Same with, I guess, Neville.
Neville, I remember in the South, the guys brought him to a training with me, and even Tony in Sabois.
Okay.
Tony was a freak. Tony brought him before the opening. He came, trained at Strathcona Park in Sandy Hill.
Okay.
I mean, then he went to Canada Prep. But the way I see it is, those guys, to me, they're like family members. They're like little brothers, and they're like, you know, me coaching us. Of course, I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. I was a social worker before. Worked in the carceral system, which opened my eyes to value, and professor mine too made me understand that, you know, prevention is better than reparation. So that's why I left social work to go in education, and education and coaching goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So doing what I'm doing is really, the essence of it is to prevent, to make sure our young boys, as we know, school is not easy for boys. School was not an invention that was perfectly tailored for boys. But the great thing is, sport can help young men to thrive and excel in their education.
Exactly.
So that's why I do it. And also we spoke about that. The game is more than that. It's very social as well. So I use it as a social kind of tool to help those young men to see different things and to develop positive and pro-social skills, what they call.
Yeah, and I'm extremely glad I met you a couple of years ago for many different reasons, but for one is just seeing the other side of football.
Yeah.
Because before I met you, obviously I knew football was more than just football. Like I played it, I was around it, and knowing some professional athletes too, like you get to know, like, you know, football is more than just football. It's kind of like a culture. It's this and that. But meeting you, it really opened my eyes to like what football is for kids growing up, and also like just so much more. Like you see football as just a game. Like you see it on TV. Like people say, "Oh, it's just a game," like this and that. It's not. It's a life. It's a culture. And if you really like are deep into it, it's your lifestyle. Like it's everything. It's something that creates a lot of opportunities. It's created a lot of opportunities for me so far. And I cannot imagine how many opportunities it can create for somebody else. And just look at the NFL. There's, I think, 1,500 players in the league right now. And, like, obviously right now we're in training camp and guys are getting cut and guys are losing their opportunities. But also a lot of guys are getting their opportunities. And it's a beautiful thing to see guys get opportunities whenever they work hard for it. And really, football teaches you a lot about hard work, dedication, and everything, all of the above, really, because, like I said, like guys are getting opportunities and losing opportunities for some good reasons, too. Like, guys get opportunities all the time because of the hard work they put in. And that's something that I've realized from my aspect. The only opportunities I've gotten have been because of the work I do. It's not because I'm lazy, I'm sitting on a couch and doing this and that.
It does.
Like, if you want something, obviously, like, there's a path for everybody. So, like, if you want something and it's unrealistic, you may not actually get it. But if you want something and it's along your path, it's going to happen with hard work.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Football, like, everybody has their own path through football, whether that be as a player where you're going here from Ottawa, you have to go pretty much to prep school from Ottawa, and then you go D1, and then you go maybe NFL or CFL. Lots of players go to the CFL just because, unfortunately, like, they don't get the same look being a Canadian going to the NFL. But now we're seeing a big change in that. We're seeing guys like Jesse, Neville, and all these guys go to the NFL. But just to see, like, the paths that you can take through football, it's a beautiful thing, and it's more than just players. It's people like yourself, people like myself, and
it's a hell of a journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, because even some, sitting down sometimes with Jesse, and shout out to him because this kid, man, gratitude. I mean, never forget his people. He sent me a card. I was reading that card, and he wrote it by hand. It gave me goosebumps because he mentioned something. Said, "Coach, we were talking about that 7-8 years ago, and look now." And so, and again, relationship with the guys. Like when I talk about Callie, Willie, all the guys that I've coached, and I had the blessing. To me, I find as a coach, when a young man gives you his life, it's a blessing. It's an opportunity. It's a trust. It's gold. And the relationship you maintain from that, and even if you haven't seen them for years, when you see them again, it's like, hey, coach, hey. So it's the catch up time that's so fun. And you were talking about that. It's a people's business.
Yeah.
When I go in the States, we travel down south. We go camps. We sit down with these coaches. You know what? These are people. So we talk about other stuff.
Don't treat them like they're just some name. Like, that's what everybody gets football and sports in general.
Unfortunately.
And like the higher you are up, I guess, like even like entertainment, like if you're a famous rapper or someone, people just say you're a name. Like they like I mentioned Debo Samuel. Like people can go up to Debo Samuel. All they want is a picture. Because it's Debo Samuel. Yeah. But they're not going to sit down and have a conversation with him. Yeah. Like that's unless you're really in the industry. If you saw Debo Samuel, you might not even get a picture with him. You might actually just have a conversation.
And it's funny that you're saying that because talking about media and the work you do, you kind of help with that. For instance, when you do like a journey in such and such player, or you covering the bio of a player, that's huge. Even I really appreciate the football life story NFL series. Yeah, we get to know these guys.
More than just athletes.
More than just that, hey, that's the stud, that's the, you get to know them. You're right. And football, the way I see it for me, it's also a beautiful journey in the sense that, unfortunately, the ugly side of it makes it beautiful. Unfortunately, this sport is the only sport, and you know it already, Jordan. Eventually, you're going to have to end your career. Yeah. It could be high school.
And early too.
So it's like you're trying to put everything, that journey, it's in like in a bottle. It's like it starts here and it finishes here. No one plays football till they're 50.
Yeah.
You know?
Tom Brady might be an exception.
Well, yeah,
he's close.
He's close, but I mean, I don't know about that. But you know, eventually you're gonna have to face and move on and deal with life. So you know, the warrior inside of you is gonna have to die.
Yeah.
And that's a process that I met a lot of professional players and a lot of guys who played at the high level, and they said they struggle with it because you're gonna have to kind of let go.
You have to let go of the name that you may have been, and you have to almost restart your whole life. Like, I know one player that comes to mind whenever like we talk about life after football is Alex Mateus. You met him. He's from Ottawa. And he was one of my first like people that I know from like professional football that I got to know like as a professional athlete and stuff. And like back in like 2015, I did a speech on him at school and everything. But so one thing that always, I think he always said it was like the real world, like the real world. Like when I'm going into the real world and stuff like that. Yes. He always kind of like the real world. This is the real world.
It is,
but really, it's not. Like it. Yeah. It's kind of like being a professional athlete. It's almost like a fantasy in a way still because.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't say it's like a fantasy, sunshine and rainbows, but it's not an office job. It's not this.
Yes.
It's not like going to work in the morning and, coming home to your family. Like, it's not a regular job. So you have to get out of this football job and find yourself like a new kind of life.
Yes.
And that's why, like you talk about it, like they struggle with it because one thing that I look at, and like it's from the media aspect, all these players have been known for are to be players. Like they're, especially I'm from the CFL, like you see the CFL, these guys aren't really guaranteed spots in like football. Like they're always underdog kind of guys, and like these guys, like they're not making a lot of money either. They're making, like the minimum is $65,000 and that's Canadian. So when you turn that into US dollars, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
So they're coming here on a rookie deal. $65,000 to $70,000 is usually like your rookie. They're not making a lot of money. So they don't, coming out of university where they probably were a star at university.
Yes.
They're coming from being star power to making $65,000 Canadian.
Yes. It for sure it's not comparable to the NFL.
It's not even close to the NFL. And the NFL is their dream.
Yes.
So you're coming from the States where you want to be in the NFL to now only making $65,000 Canadian. So you have to really open your eyes to, is this really worth it? And what can I do to make it worth it? And like all of this, like, and is the NFL still in the picture? It's all these different things, and I would say it's a good thing for some of the guys to witness that in the CFL early on in their career.
Okay.
Because then you are kind of setting up your future while you're in the CFL. You kind of witness the reality that football isn't forever.
Yes.
And I love when guys know it early, and like whenever you see that, like they're maybe figuring out in high school and college, and they're figuring out what they want to do. But a lot of guys, they don't know what to do because they were always in high school. They were best football player in the nation, best football player here, and in college they're number one on the roster, number one on the depth chart, and people are wearing their jerseys in the stands and all of this. They were never looked at as like a person. They were always looked at as an athlete and an athlete only. So to be able to, from the media aspect, I want to be able to help with that. I want to be able to, make them look more than just an athlete. So then we get their interests out there and maybe get them thinking more about, hey, what do I want to do after football? And for me, like in the media aspect, this isn't something that is usual. Like usually ESPN, all these big platforms, they just want to cover a story and that's it. I want to help. I want to be there for the athlete, and I want to show to the world who the athlete really is off the field. And we have some phenomenal athletes at you've coached and I'm working with as well, like Edwin Terrakalenge. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, I would say. And he's only a year older than me. He's a freshman at Boston College, and he's in engineering. He wants to be engineer at Tesla. That is a big goal. Wow, but he has the goal set. Like, that's something that I respect in an athlete that has. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Yeah. He had a lot of offers, and a lot of big offers too. Lots of big schools wanted him, and he could have just looked at football. He could have just been focused on football. But hey, I want to be an engineer at Tesla.
You know, he's another great story, because he's one of those kids. I met him, he was 15 years old. And the story, I mean, not going to tell the whole story because it's a long story, but I coach at the Best Midwest with Coach Greg Bookie, who runs it, does a great job there. So I bring kids in February to, and his coach in Montreal couldn't bring him. So he ended up saying, Coach, I want to come. I said, I don't have no vehicle. We don't have no driver. These guys said, no matter what, Coach, we're coming. And it was blizzard out there, So we drove, and we were all like tight. We're talking about 15 hours. We get there, things didn't work out. The registration didn't go through. They're telling him he can't participate. Edwin was like. So, and then Greg Bookie came and said, you know what, it's fine. You can go and participate. So that was, to me, when you look at a kid who's there now, you look at how he started, he always wanted it.
Yeah.
He always wanted, and he always knew what he wanted. And even, of course, what was different with Edwin, yes, he's a great academic student. I mean, he went on, and I mean, the score in his SAT was like, wow. Just graduated from his engineering course at Boston College, 97%.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. They're always down to earth, know what he wants, and never put school behind football. He always put them side by side. So that's why he ended up, of course, he was getting recruited by Stanford. But he picked Boston College, which is a great fit for him. So that's, I had to stop there and talk about him, because what a great human being. He's one of those, every kid that I had an opportunity to be a part of their journey, I've learned something from them.
Yeah.
They don't know that, but I've learned from them.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Edwin is what a special character. Yeah, so what a great person Edwin is. I mean,
and you talk about his story, and I was able to work with him a little bit. Mm-hmm. I got to know him when he was at Clearwater with you. Yes. And unfortunately, I didn't go to Clearwater and see a game or anything. I think the borders were closed, so I couldn't even do that. Yeah. But I got to know him over the phone and hear his story, tell a little bit of his story as well through the work that I do. And finally got to see him in Boston this summer a couple weeks ago. And just seeing like the kind of person he is, like obviously I knew who he was. It's not a surprise that he's a nice guy or surprise that he's smart and this, that, and the third. But to go into a Red Sox game on the Sunday that I was there with him, it was pretty cool just to see the kind of person he is with, I would say, like other people. Like you obviously, like everybody is, I would say, different around strangers compared to who they are with just like people they associate themselves with and friends and family. And we're at the Red Sox game, and there's a family in front of us from Quebec. They're from Montreal area, I believe. And they were talking in French. Edwin, French. Yeah. He's Francophone, and he's hearing French coming from in front of him. And he's in Boston. He's been there for a while. He doesn't hear a lot of French. Yeah. So he's kind of surprised. He taps, I think, the woman on the shoulder. He says, Tu Québécois? And they have a whole conversation, the whole game pretty much. They were talking. Wow. And it's a family. They've got a couple kids. And it was nice to see the way that Edwin was talking to the kid. And it's all around just cool for me to kind of see, because as somebody that works with like professional athletes, it's something you see with professional athletes, but Edwin's only a freshman in university. So to see that he has like that professional manner already, it says a lot about just the kind of person he is, his upbringing, and so much more. And I think he's off to doing great things at Boston College. I'm excited to see his first game at Boston College.
Well, I'm coming too.
We're going together, and I'm looking forward to it.
And then great staff, great team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, the
Coach
DC.
Lekabu,
I know Edwin has nothing but good things to say about everybody there.
Oh yeah, no.
It's good to see that they all have a good relationship, because in football, it's not always good relationships, and that's something that it's good to see that.
Oh no, that's one thing. Every time I go there, Coach Halfley, Coach Czar, Coach Huggins, all the guys, great Coach Vince, great people, great people.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that, and also seeing some other players that I work with and who you coach. And so I'm going down south. I'm going to Memphis. Very soon. So
yes, I think that's something you should probably explain.
Yeah,
because that you got to understand, Jordan. That it's never seen. What you're about to do is, first of all, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because when I met you 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I strongly believe that you were going to be special. Because again, as a teacher,
I think right from the get-go, you thought I was like 30.
Yeah, I thought you were already old.
In my mom's basement, doesn't have a license.
No, but I didn't know you were that young. But right there, the minute I met you, I knew you were going to do great things. And look now, we just said it. 2 years been going.
Yeah,
went by and.
It's gone.
And a lot of stuff has happened, but now I think you should share that with us because it's huge. I'm really proud of you, and I will really be proud to talk about your story.
Yeah.
When Sherrod brings you in, I meet you, and then look now. So go ahead because you got to explain that.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm going a little bit down south. I'm gonna be officially going to Memphis in September for just a month, pretty much. But hopefully, it's the start of something big with what I'm doing with Jay-Z Media, but also a platform called Cycleats, which is something I haven't really talked a lot about, and it's something that myself and Tyler Sumter, the owner of Cycleats and founder, co-founder, co-owner with myself. We've been kind of like keeping it a secret just because like Cycleats, it's a mix between the word psychology and athletes.
Okay.
It's something that hasn't really been done before in sports. So we just want to make sure it's done right and the way we want it to be done. It's a platform where athletes can come and pretty much just create a platform for themselves, like brand themselves through content, and also not just as athletes, but as people. Makai Stevenson, who's from San Diego, we also work with him.
Okay.
He has OCP, Overly Competitive Productions.
Okay.
One way that he described an athlete and a cyclete really is an entrepreneur that just so happens to play sports. Like that's something that I like.
It makes a lot of sense.
I like talking about athletes that way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of athletes that I work with and I like talking with, they're more than just athletes, and they're business owners. They do all this stuff off the field, and it's really cool to see that. But like the world doesn't really get to see it as much as I get to see it, being like more in depth in the football industry. So it's kind of my job and Tyler's job as well to show the world who these athletes are as entrepreneurs, as creatives. And the word cycleats, like it's psychology and athletes. We're trying to also talk about the important things in athletics. Mental health is a huge thing.
Oh, it's key.
And it's something a lot of people have, like certain mental health like issues. They have maybe mental health like illnesses and things like that. And a lot of people that I know are bipolar and they struggle with things like mentally. So to be able to talk about that on camera, on a platform as athletes is a big deal because people look up to athletes. Like I look up to athletes. A lot of kids growing up, they look up to athletes.
They are the nowadays gladiators.
Exactly. Yeah. So to be able to have a platform where athletes can talk about real things and kind of show kids growing up the reality of the world we live in, and just like basic things that come up in kind of basic conversations with people you love and things like that, but to put that on a platform, I think it'll go a long way. And like with NIL now, name, image, and likeness, Cycleats is going to be a big platform for that as well. I'm not going to talk too much about that just because, we're still building it and I don't want to give out any secrets.
But we will find out.
But everybody will find out very soon. Like, the trip to Memphis is going to be exciting. Going to be there for a good month. Tyler Sumter is lead video guy at the University of Memphis for the football team. So I'll be working directly with the football team for a while. And being able to work with athletes and maybe some big name artists as well. So doing things in sports and entertainment. Cycleats is going to be big, and it's going to be all created kind of through Jay-Z Media, through Tyler Sumter, and I'm really looking forward to it because like it's something that it's kind of like a month. It's 1 month that I'm going down there. I could go longer, but right now I'm only choosing a month, and because they have 4 straight home games, it's a perfect time for me to go down. And it's kind of like a month for me to kind of adjust myself in a way to what I want to do in the future, like with Jay-Z Media, with Cycleats, and what is possible as well, because here in Ottawa, there's only so much that I can do. So if I can go down south where football is bigger and, the people actually understand what I'm doing, it's a lot different because, unfortunately, a lot of people here don't understand me. So to be able to go where people do understand what I create, it'll be definitely different. And I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing what I'm able to create down there. And one thing with myself, like a lot of people, like my family, some friends as well, that they always worry, well, Jordan, are you ever going to make a lot of money doing this? And right now, I'm not stressing about that right now. I just want to...
Yeah, do it with your heart.
I'm doing it with my heart.
And
if you're doing it right, everything will come with it.
Yes, right on.
So like this 1 month, like I'm not sure how much money I'm gonna make right from the get go, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of opportunities I get, the people I meet, and most importantly the experiences I get to have as well. Because I'm 17 years old, I'm trying to live the dream. So trying to live the dream and
enjoy
also,
life, because right now you got all those opportunities.
Exactly.
Like, honestly, something will come out of this. Trust me.
Yeah.
You're doing great work. Your work ethic, your personality. I mean, over there, they can only appreciate what you do. You're gonna do.
Exactly. And one thing that I'm really looking forward to as well is, like around there, Memphis is close to a lot of different places. I've got Ole Miss, which is only, I think, an hour, not even an hour away. Tavius Robinson is down there. He's a Canadian. And not too far is Arkansas State. Seydou Traore is down there. I'll reach out to him and do some work with him as well. And also, like you look at like going down a little bit more south is Mobile. And we've got a couple players that we know down there, and Coach Cottrell.
Coach Cottrell, and you can go see Alabama.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa. Go see the King Kong Nick Saban. So I'm really excited to go down and kind of just grow everything that I've been doing, because you can only grow so much.
Oh, don't forget, you got to go see Curvins.
Oh, yeah.
Mobile.
Well, if I'm in Mobile, I'm going to see him.
South Alabama.
Yeah.
A lot
go
of guys
see
to go see.
Tamarcus. Who we met at the Senior Bowl.
Yes.
But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to going down south. And, I'm exploring opportunities right now. Like, people coming out of high school, they always think, well, you're going to university, right? What are you taking? Where are you going? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to the moon. I'm gonna be just like Elon Musk. I'm going to the moon. But I'm young. I'm not worried about like a lot of the future.
Best advice I can give you is
if you
just do things with your heart.
Exactly.
Follow your heart, and
if you do the right things, the right things will happen to you, and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking forward to it. Really.
No, that's a great news, and I'm excited for you. I'm really proud. Again, I said I'm proud of you, and it's big for our community.
Exactly.
Someone from Ottawa is going to go and achieve that. That's big.
And this podcast hopefully will grow whenever I'm down there, because I'll get Tyler.
Well, you have to, because then
I'll get Tyler Sumter on. So this is episode number 1. episode number 2.
Yeah, I want to see other guys, especially people you meet down there.
Yeah,
while
so
I'm here.
episode 2 is Devontae Williams with the Red Blacks.
Okay.
And then maybe episode 3 will be in Memphis. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I'm looking forward to kind of growing everything that I'm doing and growing, like, the mentality of what I'm doing as well. Like, showing people, you know, what I do it for. Because, like I said, I'm doing it with intentions. I'm doing it with good intentions. So to be able to show the world that, it's exciting because this is all groundbreaking stuff that I'm kind of working on. And I don't like to talk too much about it because giving away secrets. But that's pretty much, that's it. And I'm looking forward to it. And seeing the guys that you've coached at that level too, it's pretty cool to see. And also we'll come back to Ottawa, see Immaculata where you're coaching, and see the excitement down there.
Oh yeah, no, we got good things coming up.
Yeah,
we got good. I mean,
I'm looking forward
life
to
is
it.
funny. I mean, we had a great journey at St. Matt's. What we've done over there was amazing, and now here at Immaculata, which is a better setting.
You see, I wasn't able to experience what you did at St. Pat's, St. Matt's, and all these other schools.
Yeah.
So you have to give me something to experience.
No, I'll give it to you. And now you'll see it from scratch.
Exactly.
And no, I love that. I mean, to build a program, it's not easy, but it's one of the most amazing things, the most rewarding thing. Like I said, St. Pat's, we had a story. Remember when we won the championship with St. Matt's, all the St. Pat's guys showed up. Said, hey, that's yours too, guys, because I was with them. And now we're gonna add up Immaculata. Hey, great venue, turf. People in the school are really for it. At Immaculata, we will have band. Miss Martinez is doing a great job with band. That's one thing as a football coach, you always want to feel complete, to be like a complete program. You need band. I mean,
well, you look at the highest program is what, Alabama.
No,
so
you'll never be. But you gotta copy.
But you want to copy.
You gotta copy the best. You gotta. When I was in
the tunnel. You gotta get everything.
You know, one thing I learned, and that's why my philosophy is I want to give the best to the kids. Of course, I'm doing this not to send them to the NFL. Of course, if it happens, great. But it's to make sure they become great young men and to be able to pass those great pro social skills to whoever they're gonna be with or their child. But the thing is, one thing I learned, you gotta think big. You gotta go big. Even the swag. Hey, the swag's important. I mean, that's their paycheck.
Drip over everything.
I mean, come on. Okay? They're gonna work hard. We're gonna train hard. We're gonna have already. I've seen it. Hey, it's a great brotherhood. It's beautiful. The guys. I mean, and I got that from Indiana. I remember, Coach. He said, guys, we have to love each other. In the beginning, I didn't get it, but the more and more I reflect on it, of course, the boys need to love each other. I mean, how can you win with a bunch of guys who don't love each other? You can't.
If you don't like each other, you're not going to
like each other. It's not happening. And and if they don't have that respect for you as a coach too, so at the end of the day, it's all love. So the drip, the love, and also the vision. The vision. I want to see that place. It's a beautiful place. I want to see that place grow, like the culture.
Yeah.
And we're on the right track.
And it's Centertown, Ottawa.
It's Centertown, and only a great experience there. The staff, everybody's behind it. So that's what I'm saying. There's good things coming, and we'll keep you in touch. I know you won't be here, but I'll definitely keep you posted on this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. Maybe coming down in October whenever.
Oh, that would be great.
Whenever I'm back.
That would
and
be
seeing a game maybe. But yeah, I do. One thing you talked about is what you want to do with your coaching is not to win championships, not necessarily to bring guys to the NFL, but to further them in life. And that's one thing that I want to do as a coach as well. Whenever I start coaching more in the future, if I don't know how far I will go into coaching because I'm doing so much already.
No, you know what? I always say a good coach is a coach who's humble.
Yeah.
The minute you think you know it all, that's when you start regressing.
Exactly. That's one thing right from the get-go I started to see with yourself is what you do as a coach. I think the first time I met you in person, you were coaching at Millennium, Catley, Willie, I forget who else was there. I think AK was there and a few others. I don't know exactly.
Alain too.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I think that was you had your boot.
Because I ripped my Achilles tendon.
You had your boot on. You had your crutches, and you were still out there. You were coaching. You were telling guys what to do. And right from there, you kind of see, wow, this guy's different. Like he's not your typical high school football coach. And it was really cool to see.
It's funny because you see that you mentioned that. If I have one picture that I can take and snap and describe as we were talking about the love, I couldn't walk. And all those young boys, I would kind of support them, and not literally supporting, but with school, with football, and helping them out. And I had goosebumps. I mean, I couldn't walk. I had my previous student, my former student, Maggie and Magda. They came and drove me, picked me up, and checking on me. And then when I got there, all the boys, Chad, all the guys, they lifted me up.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm like, guys, I can't go. I can't. Y'all looked at me. Come on, coach.
I think Alain, he has a video.
Alain, yeah.
I think Willie had the video of it.
Yeah.
Of you getting carried over the fence.
It was. But when I think about it, that really touches me when I play that little video in my mind, because that's life. You grow up.
That's what you do it for.
That's what I do it for. Because you grow up, people help you, then you help, and then eventually things gonna happen. Others will help you, and that's why I'm doing it. And then I'm glad you kind of see that, and then that means, hey, there's another great individual out there who's going to do the same.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the work you've done in Ottawa and what you've done for myself as well. And I'm just going to start wrapping up the podcast now.
Good.
This was episode number 1, like I said. And we talked about quite a few things. And we didn't really have like certain topics to cover, but we covered a lot. And we're going to talk
But that's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning, and we're going to have another one of these in the future, probably when I come back, and we could do a little update or something with Immaculata and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're able to do at Immaculata. And stay tuned for what I have to come as well with Jay-Z Media, Cycleats, and University of Memphis football as well. So... We're growing, we're expanding, and it's exciting times. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you for tuning in.